Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. Coming up on today's show, how can the Hawks avoid eating red velvet before Thanksgiving?
Yes, and the Falcons are going to have to deal with a beast who is back in the district. How is Arthur Smith going to handle that? And what is Dean Pease going to do with the daunting task of handling some other players on the other side for the Commanders?
Last but not least, who would you like to kick it with on Thanksgiving? That's all coming up next on ATL Day Ones. It's a hump day Wednesday. Let's go, baby.
This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
Thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listener today. Remember, we're free and available wherever you download your podcast. Wherever you download your podcast, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate that from you in advance. And guys, if you're tired of listening to us on a mobile device and you want to see us on a big screen, go out and check out Amazon Fire and Roku. We are there. Just download the Locked On Sports Atlanta app and we'll pop right up. Really appreciate that. Today's episode is brought to you by ATL, brought to you by not by ourselves, but Bet Online. It's brought to you by Bet Online, and we thank Bet Online for checking us out and being the noble sponsor that they are. Really appreciate that from you in advance. I got a little information, got a couple of numbers for you a little bit later on, but first we have to talk about the Atlanta Hawks taking on the Sacramento Kings. And the big question, I think the big turkey question as we get ready for Thanksgiving on a Wednesday for this game tonight, I believe, is what Kevin Huerter are we going to get? Are we going to get, red velvet, or are we going to get Kayvon? Are we going to get Kevin? Which Kevin are we going to get? Which Kevin Huerter are we going to get tonight against the Sacramento Kings?
Well, DeAndre Hunter is back, so we're getting a little bit of help on the wing. Maybe it's a possibility, and I expect Dejounte Murray to have a bounce-back game as well. If those two do what they need to do, then yeah, you're probably talking about seeing Kevin. However, if it's a situation where they don't send help, then you are going to either see Kayvon or you are going to be eating slice on top of slice on top of slice of red velvet at State Farm Arena tonight, because dude is averaging 7 made three-pointers a game. Yes, you heard me. 7 made threes a game. Yeah. That's how he's rocking in Sacktown these days.
And Sacramento Kings are coming in on fire. They've won 7 straight. They're shooting 38% from three-point, and we know how the Hawks struggle mightily, at least to start off games, with teams who shoot the three well, because that Boston Celtics game, that's the thing that first came to mind when I started, checking on and trying to do some little research as far as this game, coming into this game. And I was just like, man, this could look like that first half of the Boston Celtics, because those dudes come out and they just shoot and they make those doggone three-pointers. And like you almost want to force them to run them off the line to, maybe force them to go take it to the basket or shoot that mid-range game. So, but I think the Hawks going to have to be very careful, because we don't want to see a situation like we saw up in Cleveland with the Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, because Lord knows De'Aaron Fox and Kayvon, they can get busy if the Hawks could come out slipping.
Exactly. So you have to have a strong start from Trae Young and Dejounte Murray on offense. And the reason I say that is because you can make Fox and Huerter work. They're not exactly. We know Huerter is a defensive liability. That's a part of the
probably why he was traded. Let's keep it a buck.
So make that dude work on the other end of the court, so you can at least affect his ability to shoot from three, and do the same thing with De'Aaron Fox. Obviously, he's a little bit better of a defensive player, but not by much. So if you can get those guys to really work on the defensive end, that should do to them the same thing that happened to you in the game Monday night against the Cavs. So yeah, just give somebody else the medicine that you were given, and I think it'll be fine. But again, I think having DeAndre Hunter back is going to help with that perimeter defense. And when you need to, then you can plug in AJ Griffin to kind of give you that perimeter offense.
Absolutely. And I think that the Hawks, looking after that performance that they had on the road, I think coming back home, and we know the building is going to be super packed, because we found out before the show that everybody trying to get busy tonight in a lot of ways. So, I'm not gonna get specific on that because that's their business. They grown, they want to do their thing. Before the holiday. I totally understand, but we will definitely have an eye on that game tonight. Hopefully, Trae Young and Dejounte Murray, are able to get that bad boy going and Hawks get that dub. And ruin the red velvet homecoming. We don't want them eating no red velvet before the Thanksgiving Day. We don't want that. But I think the main thing though, T, that when it comes to on the other side of it, off the court, I think a lot of conversations have been happening as far as with John Collins being traded, and a lot of people feel a lot of ways about that. We've talked about on this show how we don't necessarily want him to be traded, but it may be time to pull the trigger just because. Fresh start, there was an article in Athletic about specifically that. John Hollinger wrote a nice article, a nice piece about how, hey, it might be time for JC to get a fresh start, and that's kind of where we are too on this show. I think it's okay for me to kind of speak for you on that, T. But I think the one thing that I did find interesting is that Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype is reporting that. We already know about the trade talks, but he said Bogdan Bogdanovic might be the guy that the Hawks may be looking to move on. And I think that is something that I found kind of interesting because we know how the initial reports were that the Phoenix Suns were interested in John Collins, and come to find out that from a contract standpoint, they might not necessarily be interested in that, but Bogdan Bogdanovic he might be that guy that they are interested in. And I think that the Suns have a guy in Jay Crowder who they've already agreed that we're going to trade you. We just got to find out who it is. And then I think that I think the money might be close to it. And in the NBA, the salaries got to be close. But I think that you got a 3-and-D guy in Jay Crowder. You got a guy in Bogdan Bogdanovic that you're not getting anything from right now. I think that might be the move that Landry Fields and Travis Schlenk may need to consider.
Yeah, I don't know if I would give up Bogdan Bogdanovic because you still have not solved the issue of perimeter shooting. Right. And yes, we expect at some point Trae's going to get hot, and we expect at some point, hopefully, that one of the Holiday boys gets hot, and AJ Griffin is showing what he's worth. So I think you've got to keep Bogdan Bogdanovic unless in a 3-team trade there is another guy that you can get who is a sharpshooter who you can just pull off the bench and say, just go to work. And literally shoot you back into a game. I agree with you on Jay Crowder. I still think he could be a good piece to swing the Hawks' way. And John Collins can he would swing to the third team because the report has been consistent even from the summer that the Suns aren't necessarily interested in him. He doesn't really fit their system, but they've also always been a part of the conversation about a trade. And the third team is a toss-up. It depends on who you talk to as to who that third team might be. So I would prefer that the Hawks keep Bogdan Bogdanovic unless somewhere in that 3-team trade, they got a sharpshooter who can do the same thing as Bogey, but maybe is less of a liability as far as injury goes.
Yeah. And I think that I could see Travis Schlenk not willing to pull the trigger because of just what Bogdan Bogdanovic brings to the table. And I think that AJ Griffin may ease that pain. I like what I've seen from him so far. Like the more he plays, the more I start to like him. So I think that's a very good thing. But I think as far as from a wing standpoint and you can't have too many wings, I believe, in the NBA and especially in the Eastern Conference. And with how tight this bad boy is going to be, they're going to need as many guys that can shoot the three and play defense as they possibly can get. So, but yeah, that third team is interesting. I'm interested to see who that is because we know that more than likely, and that's how this deal is going to get done.
Yeah,
regardless of who's involved. So it's definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye on. You know what? Another thing you're going to have to keep an eye on. The Falcons play the Washington Commanders on the road. If you're trying to figure out what you want to do as far as putting some money down, trying to get some money for this holiday, because you're going to spend all the money on the groceries. You're going to need some groceries for Thanksgiving. Yeah, I said it like that. I meant to say it like that. It's a reason why. If you want to go get some money for some groceries, go to betonline.net because it is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. I was looking at the odds for the Falcons as they get ready to go on the road against the Washington Commanders. The over-under is 41. Whew, that is low. Goodness gracious, it was 50 last week against the Chicago Bears. But, Washington Commanders are playing some good defense.
Yes.
The Falcons have A.J. Terrell back. So what to do? Do you trust Taylor Heineke to light the scoreboard up or no? Guess what you can do? Go to Bet Online. It continues to be the top online source for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. You guys listen to us each and every day. ATL Day Ones for all your ATL sports needs. For all your gambling needs, go to betonline.net today, or you can use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. Bet Online is where the game starts.
Yes. And it's interesting that you say where the game starts, because for both of these teams, both the Falcons and the Commanders, the game as it relates to the postseason may start now, because you've got the Falcons at 5-6. You have the Commanders at 6-5. However, they're in a little bit of a different situation, right? Because we found out today, we got confirmation from Arthur Smith, at least some pseudo confirmation, that Kyle Pitts and Taquan Graham did indeed have, quote, MCL procedures. So we at least have that information, and know those guys, whatever that means, those guys are going to go down. But on the other hand, the Falcons are losing those two for however long. The Commanders got their guy back. The beast is back. Chase Young has officially been activated. Jarvis, we talked about this yesterday, like, dear God, if he's activated, like for real, and they know they're going to trot him out there. Arthur Smith and Dave Ragone, how are you going to scheme for him?
To be honest with you, it's not just Chase Young. It's Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne.
I'm just being nice and saying it's that one guy. They've got guys.
So I think the main thing for the Falcons is not to get out of character, right? Don't try to do anything that you haven't been able to do well throughout 11 games that you played. So I think that trying to come out here and pass the ball all around the yard against a team that can rush the passer really well, not a great idea. So I think that, I think it's going to be this is going to be something that you're going to be pretty much as usual. I think you're going to have to try to figure out a way with Kyle Pitts not being around. You got to figure out a way to get Drake London the ball. The Falcons have had success. I think Marcus Mariota is from a target standpoint and completion standpoint. I think Marcus Mariota is completing about 60% of his passes to Drake London, which is very good. A lot of people have been pointing out, the connection between he and Kyle Pitts. I know we know how that has not worked out that well this year, but in 2022. Marcus Mariota to Drake London, it has been pretty successful more often than not. So I think that's something you got to take advantage of. Well, find a way to get him the rock, and also continue to run that Tater. Get creative with Cordell Patterson, and I think Tyler Algier needs to be heavily involved in this game as well.
And also, you have one good thing, and I say this, with kind of tongue in cheek, because we don't say necessarily that it's good not to have Kyle Pitts, although, like you said, the chemistry between him and Marcus Mariota wasn't necessarily great. But what you do gain in not having him around is that you would then put guys like Parker Hesse in place, who are more of those blocking tight ends, going back to your point, that can provide the O-line with some additional support to be able to establish and maintain the run game. So, I think that could be an advantage in, an odd sort of way, if you will. And the other thing is this, and this was kind of a question you asked as well, like, with this situation of having Kyle Pitts out, does that mean an uptick, like a major uptick for Drake London as far as targets are concerned? I would hope not, because for me, Mariota has also shown that he's sneaky good with his chemistry with Damiere Byrd. And I think that might be a place where he wants to go again. And even like a Kadero Hodge, he's had some success with him as well. So I kind of think like this will be interesting, because it may be some of those X factors that we don't often talk about that end up helping the Falcons to get this thing done on offense.
I think you make a great point. Because when you think about, Damiere Byrd, and let's not forget Olamide Zaccheaus. We know he's capable of taking a lot of tough catches as well. So a lot of that little underneath stuff that Kyle Pitts may have run when he was in the game, you can start to give some of those routes and start to tweak it from a formation standpoint. We know Arthur Smith loves his 12 personnel. Now that may have to change too. Like you might have to run the ball from different formations. One formation you may pass the ball out of, you may have to run from those sets in the shotgun. You may see a lot of that. I believe that you're going to do that and spread those guys out so you kind of get some advantage. We know it's not going to be many up front, but you have to spread those guys out and see if you can find some type of advantage somewhere along that offensive line. So I think that, that's going to be the case. But I think you make a great point, though. Getting those guys the rock underneath so they can make plays. We've seen them make plays and make people miss and get some of that cognac. So, I think that's what's going to be have to be part of the game plan for Arthur Smith on Sunday.
Yeah, and make sure that you guys, whatever you do, Falcons 11, make sure you don't let Stevenson's own Montez Sweat act out, because that was one that I'm like, one of my good friends would kill me if she knew I forgot to mention Montez. But make sure you have accounted for him as well. Now, on the defensive side, Dean Pease is going to have a bit of a daunting task as well, because like you said, this offense, first of all, we take it back to last year, and we saw what Taylor Heinicke did. You and I, front and center. We had a front row seat for that at the Benz last year.
Front row seat, yes.
So we saw him rip the Falcons to shreds, especially in that second half. And really, to me, Jarvis, if I remember correctly, he was able to use all sorts of weapons all over the field. So in looking at, of course, Brian Robinson coming back and Antonio Gibson, but also Terry McLaurin still doing his thing, Curtis Samuel, I was really thinking, okay, where do you go first, Dean? Is the first goal, the number one goal for the Falcons defense, to focus on the running backs and taking them away? Or do you take away, first and foremost, Tyler Heinicke's down the field weapons?
Oh, you have to start with the run. I mean, to me, in my opinion, like, it doesn't matter who you're playing. You have to stop that run, because at the end of the day, when you're talking about from a play calling standpoint, as a defense coordinator, you don't want to get to the point where the offense has a two-way go, right? Meaning, if you get to the point where the offense is whatever they call, like whether a run or pass, they're getting yardage and they're moving the chains and everything. That's when it gets hard to call plays, right? Because at the end of the day, nothing's working. So you always have to start with that run game. Once you get that run game under control, and then you force them in pass situations. We saw that the Falcons take advantage of that last week. 4 sacks, you know what I'm saying, and putting Justin Fields on the ground and essentially putting them out the game. Because they were on his head, even when they weren't putting him on the ground for sacks. They were getting those pressures and speeding up that clock. And we all know Taylor Heinicke, he ain't the best of quarterbacks. He's playing really well right now. But if you put that pressure on him, he will fold and he will give you the ball. And we know that the Falcons on the back end, from a safety standpoint, they will catch that ball. They will take that bad boy away, like Jalen Hawkins did against the Bears, to close it out.
Yeah, and I love that as well, about what you just going after the run and kind of stuffing that, because in my mind, I'm also seeing 3rd and long. And I'm like, boy, oh boy, if the Falcons can get 3rd and long, and then you can get from, like you said, Jalen Hawkins, and just kind of get from Richie Grant that same performance that we saw. Of course, it was last week with Jalen Hawkins, but even a couple of weeks ago, I think with Seattle with Richie Grant. Now those guys are like, now you got to pass that ball. Right. And the other piece I like is this, of what Richie Grant and Jalen Hawkins maybe don't get enough credit for, is when they do play close to the line of scrimmage, those guys really do take tackling seriously. They will go and look, they will go after that running back, and they will look to bring him down so that he never even gets to the second level. But if he does, they're waiting for him. So I really do like that tandem from the safety perspective. And of course, like you said, with AJ Terrell coming back, really a great opportunity to also keep the passing game in check. But it'll be interesting to kind of see, because the other piece is not that you have all of the Falcons players from a year ago, but you certainly have enough for them to remember they don't want that smoke from last year that they got from Taylor Heinicke and company. They don't want that bad taste in their mouths. But listen, that's an interesting game, because that game is juxtaposed just like so many other games in the NFL, where it is way more critical than you would have thought even 3-4 weeks ago. So if you want to talk about the biggest games out there, and you've got 3 games 3 games tomorrow for Thanksgiving Day. You can hear all about it on Locked On Sports Today. They are going to be giving some instant reactions come Friday on those games and some of the potential impacts to the playoff picture. They'll be talking about the biggest games all across sports, right? And so we'll find out what are their thoughts on situations like what we saw between Pat Beverly and Devin Booker. You want to know about it? You should check those guys out because they always give you the insight. And sometimes they'll have great guests like our own Jarvis Davis. JD pulled up to Locked On Sports today and had a good time with them. And of course, they have a similar segment to For the Culture where they give you their take of the day. So again, you listen to us on your Odyssey app, you download us wherever you get your podcast, and you check us out on YouTube. Do the same for Locked On Sports today.
Locked On Sports Atlanta family, listen in closely. You see, when I start talking like this, I'm about to say something very important. I want to say thank you for almost getting us to 5,000 subscribers. I want to take that almost out of that sentence and say getting us to 5,000 subscribers. You know how that's going to happen? You're going to have to hit that subscribe button when you go to our YouTube channel to check us out. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and do it. Stop being lame. Go ahead and get with the cool kids. If you have subscribed, we really, really appreciate you for that in advance. And I will be doing something silly once we hit 5,000. I don't know what yet, but I am. But so, yeah, I might take a shot on air or something like that. You know, who knows? We'll figure it out. But, T, this is For the Culture. It is the intersection between sports, entertainment, and culture, and sometimes whatever the hell we want to talk about, because that's how we get down on the show. Today is no different. Now, I talked about kicking with somebody at Thanksgiving at the top of the show, but our friend of the show, Maria Martin, had a very interesting question, and we thought we would revisit that question. Yeah, we still in it. Yeah, that's how we do. That's how cool we are. Like, she ain't gonna trip because she might see this in my life. Like, yeah, I appreciate y'all. Right? Yeah,
family.
Yeah, it's all in the family right here, baby. So that's how we get down. So her question was, what ATL sports figure would you like to eat Thanksgiving dinner with? So, I'm gonna go ahead. So how you want to do this, T? You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Go for it. You go for it. I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so mine's kind of go all together, right?
Long time ATLian. You've been watching all these teams from since then.
Yeah. So mine has a theme to it, right? So first of all, I'm thankful for a lot of things in life, right? So, and one of those things that I've been thankful for, and that I will continue to be thankful for, and I will be thankful for this person until I leave here. I know we said ATL sports figure, but I'm gonna have to start off with my mom. Love to do that because to catch her up, I know she's looking down on me and everything, but just to be able to have a conversation and have have her taste my cooking on Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? Because I used to look forward to it so much as a child growing up and everything, and going down to Big Mama house and going to go eat, and she would bring certain things down there. But she would cook a Thanksgiving dinner at the house. And we will always have food in the house to kind of eat leftovers until we got tired of them and wanted to throw up. I was like, Mama, I don't want to eat no more leftovers. But I ain't cooking, so that's what you got. So, but yeah, I would love to. I'll have to start off with her, with having Thanksgiving with her to kind of just get that feeling again. Being around Mama. I can't go with that one. But my next two though, T. These kind of go together. All right. Okay. So the first one is prime, like Thanksgiving dinner with my guy, Deion Sanders. For all you don't know, like if you don't know, like I am the biggest fan of Deion Sanders there probably ever is in life. Like to me, he's the best player that has played in the NFL. Don't argue with me. I don't care. I have so many ways to argue you down. So don't even start. It's not even worth your time. All right. So I'm gonna start off the conversation with, man, appreciate you what you're doing, Prime. Everything you got going on at JSU. I get it, man. I love that, man. But if you really want to prove these folks wrong, yes, I'm talking Atlanta lingo right now. If you want to prove these folks wrong, you call Georgia Tech and say, hey, if y'all wanted to try something different and be better, hire me. And then, after we had Prime kind of settled down, because I know he probably argued me down, like, nah, Jarvis, I don't want to do that and all that stuff. That's cool. But yeah, we're going to come to a agree to disagree. Then he going to leave, and then I'm invite athletic director for Georgia Tech, Jay Batt, to the house, to the crib. He coming to the house. He coming to the country. And I'm like, Jay, stop being cheap. Don't try to hire Brent Key. Go ahead, find the money. I know you got some old booster that's sitting around the house with so much money that he don't know what to do with. You call him. I know you know that. I know you know his number. Go ahead and call him, Jay, back and say, hey, I need this money. And I want you to be very specific too. I need this money to hire Deion Sanders. What you say? I need you to get this money so I can hire Deion Sanders. Yes, because Georgia Tech needs a lightning jolt in the system because it is so much mediocrity over there right now, and they just need somebody like Prime. So, yeah, those are my 3 people that I would like to have Thanksgiving dinner with.
Certainly interesting perspectives. I tell you now, USF and Colorado might have something to say about that.
I'm sure they will.
And maybe the J-State boosters will have something to say about that as well.
I'm sure
they will try everything in their power to retain him at least for a few more years. And offshoot a little bit there. I hope that he stays for a minute because of that relationship that he's built with Travis Hunter. Although who knows if he leaves, it probably
you get one freebie.
Yeah.
Shador and Travis might be it might be a package deal going on around here, but no Georgia Tech. Lord knows Georgia Tech need a quarterback.
They could use the package. They could use the deal. Yes. But as far as my people are concerned, who I'd like to sit down at the Thanksgiving dinner table with, first and foremost, Dean Pease. Because I love going to Falcons on Thursdays because we get the coordinators. It's a laid-back atmosphere. So we're going Dean Pease and Marquise Williams. And, I love me some Marquise. So, he can come too. No problem. We'll put another plate up for you.
Little package deal, yeah.
But Dean Pease gives you some Deanisms. The things that he says, you just walk away feeling like you're smarter. And, just so much rich experience in the NFL. He is truly a winner over and over again at the highest level. So would love to just sit down and chat with him about more than just sports. I'm sure he's a walking encyclopedia. And then my second person would be Nate McMillan because Coach Nate has a wicked sense of humor. He is sneaky with it. It's hilarious. And I don't think people know that about Nate. But yeah, he literally, we were at an event and I had 3 events that day. And so the Hawks event was the second one. And he was like, oh, so you going to pull up now? We're about to shut this down. And you just going to pull up late. Man, I didn't even know you knew who I was. So that was just yeah. And then he'll sneak you something in a post-game presser every now and again if you're paying attention. So he's got a wicked sense of humor. And then my third person would be Michael Harris II, because I had an opportunity to meet him and his mom, and something just tells me that mama down in Locust Grove can get it in. I just think sis can burn. And maybe I'm biased because, of course, she's a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So I'm going to assume that she does everything wonderfully. Of course she does. Of course she does. So I would just pull up at the Harris table and just be like, Soror, what you got for me? Woohoo! But anyway, we could go on and on about all the great people that we would love to sit down and do Thanksgiving dinner with. And listen, we hope that you guys have an excellent Thanksgiving as well, that you have some loved ones surrounding you, and that you're able to appreciate all of the great things that God has given you, all the many, many blessings. And we hope that you are able to walk into Thanksgiving with someone other than yourself having eaten a whole lot of red velvet, because what I want to see is red velvet getting eaten alive tonight at State Farm Arena. I love me some Kevin Huerter, but red velvet, we ain't got no time for you tonight. So
no homecoming games going down here tonight.
No, not that. We're going to take a day off because we want to celebrate Thanksgiving with our family and friends, but we'll be right back on Friday with the ATL Hangouts. So our guys, John Chuckery and Mark Zeno, will join us on Friday to do some downloads on the sports scene in ATL.
Y'all come back now, you hear? ATL Hangouts on Friday. It's going